Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas. And today I have with me Rashmi Melgiri, co-founder and CEO at Functional Finance. Thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
Oh, thanks for having me, Tony. It's going great.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And it looks like you are, I'm guessing Kirkland is Seattle area?
I used to live in Kirkland. Now I live in the opposite side of the country. I live in a place called Bucks County, Pennsylvania, over on the East Coast.
Oh wow! So the not even New York City. So like flyover country.
Yeah, about halfway between New York and Philadelphia.
Oh wow! All right. So I usually break the ice over the weather. So Pennsylvania, March 5th, we're recording. So I am guessing that, well, if it's cold here in Atlanta, Georgia, I'm guessing cold, like very much winter, not spring.
Correct. You can see it behind me. It's dreary today. There's been a lot of wind and rain. There's even been trees. So I live in the woods. Trees have fallen down. Uh, Lots of exciting nature going on here.
Oh wow! All right. So we always give the guest a chance to give the elevator pitch. What is functional finance?
Yeah, functional finance is an automated FinOps platform for the P&C industry. So we simplify and unify all things related to financial management when it comes to insurance companies. I
That
thought
was
maybe I
fast.
didn't have as much time, so I was like, okay, I'm
You
gonna
have
keep it really quick.
all the time you want for the elevator pitch. Okay, so simplify and unify basically everything related to finance.
Correct. Yeah. So API forward. So you can think of it. Well, let me go back a second, right? The insurance space is full of manual reconciliation processes. So that means on premium collection, whether you are a carrier that's collecting from the insured or an agent that's collecting from the insured or a carrier is collecting from an agency, these methods of actually collecting the money and then getting it applied to the right policy or invoice, it seems like a really simple thing. But because there's so many changes that are constantly happening over the course of a policy and changes that can happen out of order, like you can backdate something, right? You get these complications when it comes to applying cash, what cash should be applied to what. And a lot of folks, I would say I was one of them in my previous life, being a founder of an insurtech, where we thought, hey, we'll just use horizontal solutions. We'll use Stripe. We'll use Routable, right? We'll use all these fintech solutions that aren't specific to insurance, and we'll figure it out. And very quickly, I can tell you that they don't have the nimbleness that you need given the complexities in insurance. So that was the problem I wanted to solve. And that's why I started functional finance.
Okay, so yes, I did not mention it earlier that this is you're a second time in InsurTech founder,
That's
right?
right. Yep.
And I don't know if we can mention the first company. From my perspective, we can. So it's up to you. But so you've had an exit, and if I'm not mistaken, sold to a major broker. So
Yep.
congratulations.
Thank
Um,
you.
so basically, you come from tech origin. You've co-found a successful insurtech, assuming that we can use the standard financial tools that us tech people love to use for everything,
Yep.
and then you find that for insurance they're just not a good fit.
Exactly. And I'm fine sharing the name. So I was the co-founder of Cover Wallet, which was, a tech-enabled agency to start. We then had a wholesaler unit that was called Cover Wallet for Agents, and we also launched our own product. So we were an MGA. So we had three different operating models. We did both carrier bill as well as agency bill. And when you have an MGA, you have a carrier in the back that you have to cede premium to. So you have all these different models going on. But even if you just took one of those models, you know, I think I was not in insurance ever before CoverWallet. So I was one of those tech people that was naive about insurance and just figured it out. And granted, to my credit, my co-founder's credit, we did figure it out and we had a successful exit to Aon. But the part of it that always bothered me was I've never fully figured out, or at least achieved, automating the back office, right? So this is a little bit of like my dragon to slay, right? I feel really grateful that I had opportunity to build Cover Wallet. I feel very grateful that Aon saw the potential in it and that it was acquired. I did not feel great about the state of the back office. I'll be honest. I felt like we were a tech company, but it was very, very manual, which is not an unheard of story, right? When you're a tech company, you focus on revenue and marketing and the top line. But that back office manual work had gotten to the point where it was affecting the top line. You know, customers would call in and say, "Hey, I thought my refund was going to be $77, but I only got 70. How come I'm missing $7?" Right? And you want to be able to justify it, but when you have just loads and loads of spreadsheets that are categorized by carrier by month, and then you have this customer who's a multi-carrier customer for the last 9 months, you got to go to all these different spreadsheets to try to put together a ledger, right? To tell them, to explain to them why their refund is the way it is. And you can take it a step further and say, okay, fine, it's not spreadsheets, but it's in Looker. Still, you know, we were at the point where it was really hard to answer any inquiries related to billing because it was so manual. And when it's manual, two things happen. One, there's delays because there's a human being doing it. And two, there can be inconsistencies because one human may do it different than another. Like one might say, oh, they're owed money back, I'm just going to credit their account. And another one might say, oh, they're owed money back, I'm going to go ahead and refund it to the card. And the other one might say, oh, they're owed money back, let me apply it to this other policy, which is also on their account, right? So you get these inconsistencies. And then the last thing is you can get errors. It's taking a lot of time, a lot of effort, and eventually affecting customer relationships and carrier relationships if you have bad balances there as well, right? And so I really wanted to solve this industry-wide. And you know, one of the things I think sort of a big aha moment for me at Cover Wallet is we worked with a lot of major carriers, and I won't say the name of the carrier, but it's one of the top 5 in the US. You see their commercials a lot. As Cover Wallet was growing and we were doing more and more business with this carrier, they told us, oh, we're adding another premium accountant to the Cover Wallet account. Oh, we're adding a 5th premium accountant to the Cover Wallet account. And I was like, wow, really? Like a tier 1 carrier doesn't have this scaled, right? They're adding human beings because we're doing more business with them. And so like, it wasn't just oh, we're a tech company, we're a startup, we're going to be scrappy. This was industry wide that you would think the biggest companies would have this solved, and they didn't. Everyone was just throwing people at it, and sort of SOPs, right? SOPs and people. Rather than say, this is the logic that we're going to consistently use. We're going to flag things when they need to get flagged, and we're only going to have a human intervene when the software can't handle it, right? So, you know, I think about insurance and I think about what people's premiums are going towards, and I didn't like it that's part of what the premiums are going towards, right? Like, it's this inefficiency that's happening that really could be solved, not only to have the premiums go to where they really need to go, but also to just have a better customer experience so that people aren't waiting for an answer when it comes to the billing, or they're not waiting for a refund because someone has to get around to doing
it. Fantastic. And you've built the system for all players in PNC. So like looking at the website, carriers, agents, MGAs.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
we
big.
Focus a lot. Yeah, we focus a lot. I will say though on the MGA and carrier space, in part because this, again, sort of where the head and the mission goes, which is like the policy administration system. That's really the truth of the policy, right? And all the billing has to flow from there. So if you're an agency, but you're working with a carrier who's got a manual process for doing this stuff, you're going to be subject to some ridiculousness down the line, right? Because they haven't gotten around to applying the check you sent last week. And so on your end, when you log into the portal, it looks like you haven't paid, even though you know you have paid, right? So in terms of attacking this from an industry perspective, I really wanted to start with those players, the carriers and the MGAs, and say, look, if we can get it right at the policy administration level, it's going to have trickle-down effects to make it easier for the retail agents of the world.
Okay, and it sounds like you built it with the large carriers in mind.
Yeah.
Does it make sense for the regional players or
oh, absolutely, yeah. So it's built with any player in mind, right? So it could be a large carrier, a regional carrier, or an MGA. To date, we work a lot with MGAs and smaller carriers, understandably, right? The larger you get, the more risk that's involved, right? There's sort of more of a mentality of not switching unless you absolutely have to. So tend to work with a lot of folks that are starting up new programs, starting new carriers or smaller carriers, and are thus more nimble or able to switch, right? And it's an interesting point because when you think about the MGA world, right? That's the fastest growing part of P&C, and the technology is so good now that you can really start an MGA pretty simply. And so when you think about those MGAs that are starting today, they're starting with a brand new tech stack, and they're going to come to market with real efficiencies, not just how good their underwriting is, but they're going to have an awesome policy admin. They might be using functional finance. And so they get all these real efficiencies and benefits to the agent experience or the customer experience because of doing that. And I think that will have a knock-on effect to sort of the older guard saying, hey, we're actually not able to keep up in terms of the level of service that we want to provide our distribution partners or our insureds.
Okay. So once fully implemented, what does the world look like for finance at a carrier MGA?
Yeah. So once it's fully implemented, there's no more questions about, oh, can we really do direct bill or not? Right. So basically what functional finance is, it integrates with your core system, right? Whatever that's a AMS or a PMS system or policy administration system. And we say that system's just responsible for knowing the policy events and the amounts. At that point, if distribution partner A wants to be on agency bill and distribution partner B actually wants you to skip over them and do insured bill and get their commission at the end of the month, perfectly fine. And if you also want to do direct distribution without any distribution partners and insured bill to them, great. If you want to offer insureds the ability to do pay in full or premium finance and have that all in a digital checkout, great. So really, I challenge people, think of any permutation of distribution model or billing plan, and functional finance has that pre-configured. So you could feed in the policy events in whatever, including out of sequence endorsements, right? Out of order. And the logic will do the right thing. It'll charge the counterparty the right amount at the right time. And it'll also get them back their money, right? In the case of a return premium endorsement. Not only that on the premium collection side, but it'll also take care of everything related to disbursements. So commission payments to distribution partners, ceded premium to the markets or carriers that sit upstream. And then all of this is backed with reporting. So you can look at any given policy, if it was $1,272, and you can see exactly how that $1,272 broke out between the commission you retained, the commission you paid out, the ceded premium you paid out, states and state taxes, et cetera. And I think another really exciting part of what we do is for those MGAs that work with tons of carriers, we actually handle treasury management. So MGAs and MGA roll-ups, right? They work with carriers that they have to cede premium to, and those carriers often have no non-commingling rules in place, meaning you can't keep the money you owe me in the same bank account as the money you owe to another carrier. So you see some of these MGA roll-ups like K2 or NSM, kind of these bigger guys, they have over 200 bank accounts just to keep the money where it's supposed to be in order to honor those commingling rules, right? So we also do that, which is if a distribution partner is paying you $100,000, but it spans over 8 different carriers underneath the hood, ingesting that $100,000, getting it into the right bank accounts so that it's not commingled, and getting it applied to the right invoices. So that whole financial journey is taken care of by functional finance.
Okay. Before that particular, like the no commingling piece, I'm guessing was super manual.
Yes, and it is still today. A lot of people, I mean, it's someone's job, right? That a check comes in from a distribution partner. It was for $100,000. You figure out which invoices it was for. You figure out what carrier is associated with each of those invoices, and you split up the money And if it was $100,000 across two carriers and it's 50,000 here and 50,000 there, okay. If it's $100,000 across two carriers, but it's actually $200,000 to this carrier and negative $100,000 to this carrier, right now you've got to do a transfer and right out of one into the other. And so you can, and that's only two carriers, right? So imagine that happening across tens of carriers, right? This is math that someone does and then executes the transfers. That's sort of where we are right now.
Okay, and all that can basically be automated with functional finance.
Correct.
All right.
Tony, it looks like I blew your mind.
Yes,
like you're like, I don't even know where to go with this now.
Yes, I had no idea that it goes that. I spent I actually went through a finance leadership rotation program at a very major carrier, which I thoroughly failed at, but I got to see some of the back end and how like Excel heavy and like how much reconciliation was needed, right? It was I would have thought that you write the report once and then you run it, and no, the reality is that they're doing reconciliation every month, and it's a ton of manual work. But I had no idea that it got to the point of having to keep the money in separate accounts, because that's what the what the involved carriers require. All right. Are there any types of carriers that are not a good fit, that this wasn't designed for them?
Haven't run into one yet. You know,
Okay.
I would say that really it's more about adoption than anything else, right? Willingness to do something new.
How long does the implementation take?
Typically I've seen it happen in as little as 3 weeks and up to 3 months. So it is, I always distinguish between implementation and integration. And so what I just gave was the combination of both. And the difference being, implementation is where we sit down and we figure out your rules, right? So we have standard rules and we want to go over those with you and say, are there any changes that you want to make? Or a customer might come to us, sign up with functional finance, say, I just need an easier way to do broker bill. And then we'll show them and say, hey, you know, this is also designed for insured bill. So if you wanted to do your own plans, you could. And they'll stop and say, oh, I never even thought about that. And so sometimes implementation becomes this period where the carrier or the MGA starts to explore billing models that they would have never done before because agency bill was hard enough. And they can say, okay, well, let me try this out. Let me try this out, right? So that's more of that experimentation where they get to design it exactly how they want to work. And then the toggles just go on and off if they want to use insured billing or carrier or agency billing. And then that integration part is really up just to, you know, we believe it's a really great API. We've gotten a lot of compliments from developers that have worked with it. And so that can be, like I said, we've had one developer set up an MG on agency bill within 2 weeks. Then if you kind of have more modules that you need to set up, that can take, 2 months.
Okay, that's not bad compared to like converting a core system, which can take years. This
exactly.
is not bad at all. You talked about modules, so I'm assuming that it's built in a kind of modular fashion, and what is the pricing like?
Yeah, so we do a monthly SaaS fee, and that's basically it. Sometimes we charge an implementation fee. It really just depends on how complex the implementation is and whether our team has to get involved or not. We've rarely charged one, so hasn't happened that often, but it's a simple monthly SaaS fee. And that's it, right? So we believe that the price of operating the back office should go down as a percentage of premium as you grow, right? Not maintain the same, like as I mentioned with like the carrier example from the CoverWalt days where they just kept adding people as they grew.
Okay. What about the commitment? Are we signing up for 3 years or what does the contract look like?
Yeah, so we offer 1, 2, and 3 year contracts, whatever people want to do. Most of our folks do take 3 year contracts.
Okay. So the looks like the company's been around for about 3.5 years, almost
That's
4.
right. Yep. Started in 2022. Yep.
Okay, so at this point, fairly mature for an insurtech. Uh, is there are there any new features coming down the development pipeline in 2025 that you're excited to talk about?
There are definitely new features coming. I will say that two features that I want to highlight that we already have, which I think are pretty cool, are for those folks that do primarily broker billing. So they distribute through brokers, and those brokers then pay them once a month in a long Excel file that totals some number that has a bunch of positives and negatives that tells them how to apply it. Usually that work is done by someone sitting there and entering in, oh, positive 100, negative 100, and applying it to the different policies. We actually have a remittance uploader. So you're able to just upload that file, and we check it against all the invoices, and we show you, hey, these match, these didn't match. You should be in correspondence about these non-matches and get them straight, right? So completely bypassing the fact that someone has to sit there and key it all in. So the remittance uploader is awesome for those that are doing a lot of broker distribution with broker bill. The other feature that I'd want to talk about is for those that are doing insured billing. We have a payment library or a payment widget. So folks might be used to this with companies like Stripe or Adyen, where it's not a branded checkout page that, but it's actually a embeddable widget that you can put on your page for your insurtech or your carrier or MGA that is completely hosted by you, but has us in the background as the payment processing engine and the billing and invoicing engine, right? I don't think that's really happened in a big way in insurance yet. So I always like to talk about that for insured billing. And that works for whether you're doing premium financing or whether you're running your own installment plan. And obviously, if you're just doing full pay. I mentioned treasury management. So that's something that we're launching this year, which is, again, getting all the money into the right bank accounts. And there's a few more things coming, but I'm not ready to announce them yet. So I'll just say, to your question, I'm excited about them, but not ready to talk about them.
Perfect. uh, uh, Thank you for your time today. This is very, very interesting stuff. Um, it is fascinating how uh, yeah, insurance is just, there's things that are just difficult about our business, right? And you did a fantastic job of explaining the whys. That is. Um, when this goes live, I will tag both you and the company on LinkedIn. By the way, I really love the it was a little early in the conversation to call it a mic drop moment, but the I challenge anyone to find a payment type that we can handle,
Yeah.
and that is already built into the system.
Right.
So for an industry that has so many different ways, right? Agency bill, direct bill, everything from pay up front to pay every month kind of thing.
Yeah. Or usage based billing. I didn't mention that, right? But there's
Oh,
folks
you
that
do
are,
support usage. Okay, perfect.
yeah. So we even had one client who was a commercial auto client that had a telematics device in the trucks. And you rate the premium up front to say, okay, I'm making it up, $24,000 for the year, so it's $12,000, or $2,000 a month over 12 months. But at the end of January, we're going to read what you drove, and in February, I may charge you more than 2,000 because you drove a lot in January, and so I have more exposure, right? They weren't just doing that on a monthly basis; they're doing it on a weekly basis, right? If you imagine having to manually do that on a weekly basis, you'd never get your bills out, right? So, I mean, we handle even that, like you could be almost daily usage based billing.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, very, very, very interesting stuff. Thank you for your time today. I did not think that a finance product would be would be this interesting.
We'll spend more time together, Tony.
Thank you.
All right, you got it.